We have lots to talk about then.
Yeah.
Hang on, stand by.
I think we're live.
Oh, we super are, but I'm still trying to just get this all figured out. So we're talking about wooden earrings, leather earrings. I'm not really sure. Welcome in. This is Unscripted. My name is Timothy Lindsay. Erin McLaughlin is here.
Hello.
And we have Jen Bubert here, and we're going to discuss things that I avoid on a regular basis. Good decisions, healthy decisions, all the decisions. What earrings to wear, the leather ones or the wooden ones? Who knew?
Tough call.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. So unscripted, we want to talk to people that we know, that you know. If you have anybody that we should be talking to, we're talking about people leaning into their passions. Jen's going to talk to us about wellness and wealth. Yes,
I think
that's wellness and health.
That's like a new category.
Yeah, well,
I think you
COVID,
should talk to us about that.
It's been wellness and wealth in COVID. Yeah.
Wellness.
Man, oh man, it's almost 2021.
Yeah.
So
drinking yet.
We talk to people about their passion projects, and we're talking to Jen Bubert about that today. So we'd love, if you're enjoying the program or you're enjoying past episodes, to please hit the like button and subscribe and tell your friends. Jen, thanks for joining us. Of course, you and Erin have a history. You were just talking about cricketing and earrings. I'm getting to know you right now with everybody else. So if Erin, if you want to take this and drive a little bit to sort of uncover the mystery of Jen, so we can find out all about her wellness and her wealth. Yes.
Well, so like, it's almost like we planned it. It's colitis and Crohn's and Colitis Week, Awareness Week.
Oh, I was going to mention that. Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel like that's just destiny, right? Yeah. So, you know, we book club together. And
Did you tell Jen that I'm in a book club, but it's actually men's indoor golf?
Yeah, well, and actually book club, I mean, we knew each other kind of before book club, and but I think through book club we've gotten to really know each other much better, which I love, because we're book nerds, and we also get to enjoy wonderful food together when we do that. And we've gotten to know a lot about each other, but the last few months specifically, you've been focused on taking control of what you can control, right? And it's turned into a bit of a passion for you. As your friend, I've got to watch this unfold, and it's a really beautiful thing that I've been able to witness this sort of growth and change and this fire inside of you. And so that's why we're here today, because I want you to tell the story to everybody. And ironically, it sort of sits in the birth of you having Crohn's, right? Yeah, so you can take it away.
All right, that's where it started. So just to give you like a really quick elevator speech about my history, I was diagnosed with Crohn's in 2001. I was in high school. I had no idea what it was. I had no idea what was happening to me. I just knew that I was really sick and something was going on and something wasn't right. Worried a lot of my family for a while, because it took a while for us to figure out what was actually going on. And thankfully, figured out what was happening, got diagnosed with Crohn's disease, had a complete overhaul of what I knew to be in existence for my life. And my health was at risk. I was very sick. My diet needed a complete change from the typical teenager diet, no soda, no pizza, all the junk food and deliciousness.
Oh, yeah. Goodbye. Bye-bye.
If you could break it down, because I know everybody can skate to the puck that is Google or WebMD. Can in layman's terms, can you give me the cliff notes of Crohn's disease? And
so
I know
Crohn's,
it's not that simple, but
so Crohn's and ulcerative colitis are inflammatory bowel diseases, and
you're already clearing the room. Erin left. Yeah,
I know. God, that didn't take long.
I'm gonna stick it out. I'm wildly intrigued. Yes, go ahead.
It's something no one wants to talk about, and it's very much a invisible illness in a lot of ways, because most of what I suffer from isn't showing up on my face, and can be very easily hidden for most people that suffer from it. So we hide it. We don't let it out. We deal with our symptoms on a daily basis, and we just keep moving forward. And I'm very proud of that in a lot of ways, but I also feel like the most important thing that everyone needs to do is just be who they are and share and awareness. So that's what this week is about for me, is sharing on my own personal pages. I do a lot of sharing about what I'm going through. I try to be as transparent as possible, as hard as it is to be, because these symptoms that I have are not fun to talk about. I mean, no one wants to talk about diarrhea and nausea and vomiting and, you know,
I've got a bunch of friends that actually love talking about that. Go ahead, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not grow up talking about that at all.
No, most of us don't, right?
Yeah.
Like,
it just was a very hush hush sort of thing. And so I internalized all of what I was going through, and, you know, had a lot of social anxiety, didn't want to, you know, I missed dorm life in college because I couldn't wrap my brain around the idea of living in a dorm. And to this day, you know, I'm bummed about it. Like it brought me to where I am today, so I'm not going to regret it. I met my husband because of it, probably. There was a lot of
that changed that pathway for sure, right?
Yeah. I mean, I moved in with my best friend in an apartment, and I killed myself working, you know, a job to try to pay for it while going to college, which crashed and burned in about one semester. And
you had a good time.
Yeah, I mean, it got me to New Hampshire, and it got me, you know, I got my degree eventually, but I had to do it my own way.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just totally impacted my path. Not a bad thing. It just wasn't what I was expecting or what I had planned for my life.
So if you can bring me back to high school graduation, and then get me to hear from a career standpoint, because obviously this is, like we joked earlier before we started the show, like the side hustle, the passion project. So, you know, what was your intention when you visited college for that semester? What was the end game supposed to be, and where are we now?
So I had gone, I was going to school for just a business, like a bachelor's business degree. I figured that was, you know, generic enough that it would get me, I didn't know what I wanted to do with it at all. And I had, once I left that first semester and moved to New Hampshire, I took a good couple of years off because, again, I didn't know what I was doing with my life at that point, and went back in to get a business degree, and then eventually a healthcare management degree, because I got kind of strangely into healthcare and hospital work, and got a job at Concord Hospital and grew that into what I am today, which is a provider recruiter during my day job. But a couple of years ago, I had to have surgery for Crohn's. And that was really the pivotal point in my life where I realized that I needed to stop, you know, succumbing to the disease and what it's doing to me, and stop living by those limitations, and really take control over what I could take control over, instead of just like throwing in the towel and being like, I can't be healthy, I can't work out, I can't eat anything good, I can't do all of these things, I can't. And I don't know what changed. It just, all of a sudden I had surgery, it didn't help. I ended up feeling sick like right away afterwards. And I'm like, okay, well, I thought that was going to be my saving grace, and it wasn't.
What do they say the probability when you're going in for that surgery? And I'm sure there's 15 different versions of the surgery you had for whatever you're dealing with in particular. What was the end game when, like, they said, okay, after this is what you could expect? Like, or you're going into that as a coin toss because they're not really sure?
I was, so I had a bowel resection. I had a pretty large section of my small intestine and part of my large intestine, my colon, that they were probably going to be removing.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if I was going to wake up with an ostomy bag or not. I literally went into surgery, partially exploratory, partially we know that we're going to at least take out some, but we don't really know how much until we get in there, figure it out. So I went with a conservative surgeon because I didn't want him to start just like taking parts of me out of my body. I wanted to keep as much.
That looks like it's extra. Yeah, they just start yanking stuff.
Yeah, well,
out.
You got to keep as much as you can.
Exactly. And with Crohn's, one of the main things that you go into it knowing that you're probably going to get surgery at some point in your life. And I mean, I went a long time without needing it. So I'm very thankful for that. Because once you start having surgery, it's kind of one of those things you just continually keep having it. So when I went in, again, didn't know if I was going to come out with an ostomy. I had to prepare myself for that, whether it would be permanent or temporary.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I woke up without one. But I was expecting, and they had really felt like what they had removed was I was actually gonna feel really great coming out of things. Now my disease, for whatever reason, spiked a lot after my surgery, and I had a whole nother like section of my small intestine and large that's like totally inflamed again. So that was a low probability situation, like very low in a very short period of time, like within 6 months. So that just knocked me on my feet. Like I went through all that and it still didn't make any difference. And so that's where I'll never forget, I was in my kitchen and I had been thinking for weeks and weeks and weeks, like, I'm going to work out. Like, I want to work out. I need to work out. I feel lousy in my body. I need to move my body. I don't have a lot of energy. And it was constant. It was a daily in my head. Couldn't get myself out of the thought of not wanting to work. Like I wanted to work out so badly. And so I was in my kitchen. I literally didn't have anything. I'm like, I'm just going to put a YouTube workout on, 20-minute hit. I have no freaking idea what I'm doing. And I haven't worked out in a minute.
Richard Simmons? No.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Just moving. Just move your body. Yeah.
I literally was barefoot in my kitchen. I'm like, you know what? I don't need to go to a gym to work out. I don't need special equipment. I just need to put something on and move my body. And so that's where it started. And it just kind of went from there. I had a couple people on Instagram that I was watching and following, and one of them had an ostomy, and I was super inspired by her. And that's what really kicked it off for me to say, like, if I can work out in my kitchen barefoot for 20 minutes, like, and, feel like I have no control over things, like I can share my journey and hopefully inspire somebody else who's feeling the same way to do the same thing, whatever that means for them, whether it's drinking more water or moving your body or, trying to get more sleep every day. Like there's so many things that we take for granted that we can do for ourselves that require no money whatsoever and no, no going to the gym, which it was, I didn't realize, but I had huge anxiety about, but I didn't even recognize that that was something holding me back. I had so much anxiety about going to a gym and being in front of people and wondering if they're noticing that I'm going to the bathroom 4 times, because that sometimes is what happens.
Sure. And
I had that in the back of my head. I didn't even realize it until I started working out at home. Like, I don't need to do that.
So bathroom anxiety. So I have celiac disease. It's real. Okay.
It's real.
So, when you're in this, I think just as a woman who's had children, it's also an issue. But last night I was, I'm coaching my daughter's basketball team, and, we can't use the, bathrooms. And just the fact when I walked in and the other coach told me that we have no access to the bathroom, it's only an hour and a half, mind you. I was like, this is going to be a problem. Just telling me that I'm not going to be able to go to the bathroom is like a trigger. I gotta go. I gotta go right now.
Yep.
Yeah. So I totally, you're like clicking all this stuff in my head around. I wasn't diagnosed until I was 31. So I had all these bathroom issues as well. With celiac, it's constipation and diarrhea and throwing up, all the stuff, right? And so for me too, I always needed to drive my own car everywhere, like all the stuff, right? Like
good news is we dropped this episode at 5 o'clock, right at the dinner hour. So if anybody's really prepping to have dinner, we're teeing.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Everybody. Yeah.
I mean, this is the stuff, right? Like, as I think we have so much shush, like be quiet around so many illnesses, cancer being one of them, that we have all these weird belief systems around them that aren't healing. Yeah. And I think that's why you've been super inspirational for me, because you've just been so open and honest. Mm-hmm. And I think we need more of that. Like, so what kind of response have you been getting from people? Like, how has your tribe grown as a result of this?
And what's you said you have an Instagram, and like, what's all your
I'm
socials?
on,
Put that out there.
I started on Instagram. Jen versus Gut is my handle, via Jen vs Gut. And you know, I had an Instagram account with probably like 10 posts on it before I started really sharing my workout journey. And then it took a little bit for me to get comfortable sharing the Crohn's stuff, but it's slowly grown, and I'm trying to be as transparent as I can be about what I'm going through on a daily basis throughout my posts and my stories. It's phenomenal, the community that you'll find if you just go out and look for them. It doesn't take much. The one thing that I have recommended to people that I've talked to either outside of virtual communities and worlds or in person is, no matter what you're experiencing, there's other people out there experiencing that too. And all it takes is a few minutes on a search bar in Facebook or Instagram, Google, to find your people.
Yeah.
And they're your best tool in your toolbox. Like, these people, if I'm having a hard day and I share something that I honestly feel like is dumb and like no one would care about, you'd be so surprised like how many messages I get privately, you know, just saying like, girl, I get you, I hear you, I'm right there with you, I'm dealing with that, my son's dealing with that, my daughter's dealing with it, my best friend's dealing with it, like, you're not alone, we're in this together.
Yeah.
It lifts you up in a way that you can't even imagine, and I cannot recommend that more for anybody who's experiencing anything. Everybody's got something going on, whether it's mental health, you know, anything.
We all have stuff. Yeah.
Well, and again, to inflate my ignorance, like, honestly, I think the one Crohn's reference point that I've had in the last 6 months is that commercial with the girl, the three sisters traveling to Chicago eating deep dish, and she keeps rushing off to the bathroom. Like, I see that commercial, and I'm kind of, and in the last couple of days when Erin and I were talking about having you on, I'm like, okay, I know that. Outside of that, I don't really know. So I'm going to ask, like, it sounds, based on the fact that you just said people are talking about their kids, it is hereditary and it will pass on, or
it's supposedly a hereditary thing, but we're still learning a lot about it. I have no one in my lineage that has Crohn's disease. The piece that is that I've learned a lot about, it's autoimmune. It's an autoimmune disease. And so I have an uncle with RA, and my sister was diagnosed with Hashimoto's a couple years ago, and they're, you know, the only people in my family that are experiencing those sorts of things. We could have had other family members, you know, that went undiagnosed, but for the most part, I know nobody that has it in my family. It's definitely been a concern. And I could go on a whole nother like episode about just like the experience of pregnancy and like trying to, you know, conceive when you've got an autoimmune disease is a whole nother like level. That's a big concern. I still deal with that on a regular basis. Like, every time my kids are having a hard time, I'm like, oh God, like, I hope they don't have Crohn's. Like, it's a constant concern of mine. Because autoimmune diseases, they tend to cluster and clump together. And, you know, I've gotten tested for other autoimmune diseases because some people just get multiple ones on top of each other too. So, yeah.
Yep. This girl right here.
Yeah. Erin with the easy cancer, as they call it, right?
So, thyroid disease and celiac are autoimmune diseases, and and they're connected. And you know, I have a child with celiac disease, and she's also, I think, developing thyroid disease. So, you know, we're figuring it out. But yeah, it's so they run in families, these things, and like wonky genes, I guess. So. When we were prepping for today, we were talking about like, we're texting, you know, like, what is it? I guess I think the thing that is so impressive is that this idea of being open, but also taking action. So what has that meant for you, and how have you incorporated that into your daily life?
So, you know, the one thing, and I think we talked about this at the beginning, like, my focus especially during, just put COVID aside, but really and honestly, the last 8
Can
months
we?
has been, I know, right?
Sign me up for that.
I tried to compartmentalize as much as possible.
If we didn't have COVID, it would be different. Yes.
I
Yeah.
know. I think that everybody, the struggle for many of us is just focusing on what you can control, right? I mean, you have to be able to focus on what you can control and not what you can't. So even right now, in the height of COVID and everything that's going on, I think that I have to literally on a daily basis remind myself, like, this is what I have control over. I have control over my actions. I have control over how I take care of my body. I have control over, the four walls of my household. And I don't have control over anything else. Like, I literally
That's
just
a
have to
threshold,
focus on
right?
that.
Right.
And, those things, diet, sleeping, moving your body, drinking enough water, doing the things that make you happy, doing the things that bring you joy, meditating, journaling, like all of the things, like those are the things that I can do for myself and try to keep some sanity in the middle of all this and giving ourselves grace. Like, we have to give ourselves some grace and be just grateful and thankful for what we have around us.
So how would you say and I'm going to ask a four-pronged question, but how would you say the change of how you've had to, taking control over what you control? So how has that manifested, like spiritually, nutritionally, physically, emotionally? Like what changes, I guess, starting with nutrition, because obviously that's an immediate direct effect on how you feel.
Yeah.
And I guess beyond those four things, do you have, I mean, the diminished immune system that comes with it obviously puts you in a higher category of risk with our good friend that's outside your threshold, COVID, right?
Yeah.
So, but I guess starting with nutrition, like what are some of the key changes you have to make, things that you have to avoid, or maybe some things you avoid now that you don't even care because maybe you didn't like pizza? I feel like you probably do. Is that just a thing on the commercial? Is that fake? I don't know.
Pizza's genetic in my family as far as like obsession goes. So yeah, pizza is definitely a requirement for my family.
Yeah.
I mean, nutrition and Crohn's are very complicated, just like a lot of other things. And I am honestly still figuring those things out. I am actually doing an intuitive eating thing, which is like a new buzzword, I think. But in a lot of ways, I think it's important for us to understand what we're putting in our bodies and how it's making us feel. And people take that for granted too. Like, food can have an impact on your system for days. Like, it's not just what you immediately are eating and then how you feel then. It's how you're feeling over the course of several days after that. Your digestive system is constantly in motion. And so nutrition is a constant struggle for me. There's no doubt about it. I know things that are triggers. Dairy is a key one for me specifically. I'm actually getting celiac tested in a couple weeks.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, just to kind of rule that out in my brain, in my space, because it's always one of those things in the back of my head that I don't know for sure.
Right.
And until I get that result, I at least know that, and then I can kind of move forward. I've done food sensitivity tests and all of these things, but like nothing is definitive until I really start paying attention to exactly what you're eating and how you're feeling afterwards. And that's where the intuitive eating thing comes in, and the food journaling and the elimination diets and all of those things that kind of kick off. So it definitely plays a huge factor in how my Crohn's is, how my energy is, how I'm sleeping, my mental health is with my family and my coworkers, and how I deal with daily life.
So as you're talking, I'm thinking about your mindset around having Crohn's disease. Would you say that doing these things, like how has that changed?
Like in the last?
Yeah, I guess like in the last 8 months,
Yeah.
Do you feel like, from my perspective, I think there was a time where your disease was running you.
Yeah.
And that maybe is different now.
I mean, I would say that my disease has not gotten better in this. And that's something I feel like is important to say. Like, in the last 2 years, I wish that I could tell you that I am feeling fantastic and that all of these changes that I've made have made my Crohn's symptoms disappear. That would be ideal.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not the case.
Yeah.
Right.
I have been through clinical trials in the last 2 years. I have been through failed medications. I've literally tried every Crohn's medication out on the market right now. I am literally just piecing together treatment plans until the next medication comes out. And so the one thing that's changed for me is my mental health and my attitude. That's where the change has happened. And I think that that is really one of the most important parts. I think that for the most part, I have always dealt with this disease as a like, yes, it's happening, but I have to move forward, which in some ways doesn't work out very well, right? Because I was ignoring symptoms and I wasn't treating them and I wasn't focusing on them and taking care of them because I have kids to take care of and I have a job to go to and I just have to keep moving forward. And that's how I think that's how I get through my day, right? That's how most of us get through our day. Like we can't harp on it, but we also need to recognize what's going on, do something about it, talk to your doctor, try that new medication, don't eat that food. But the point is that by doing all the things that I wasn't doing before, the moving my body and the trying to pay attention to what I'm eating and drinking more water and taking my multivitamin, like my mental health has changed. I feel like I do have some control over what's going on.
Yeah.
When I really don't have a lot of control. Like realistically, a lot of things are out of my control, but I can do all those things and my mental health is better and I can be more present for my family and I can just have a better outlook on life and I can be available to my followers and help them through a difficult time and just show them that even though you're feeling lousy today and you can take that moment and you can recognize that and you can have that day on the couch and you can do what you need to do, but you need to get back up and you need to keep moving forward. And that's where the change happens for me, I don't know.
No, I mean, I think that's what I'm saying. Like I can see there's this like place where I think sometimes when you're dealing with chronic illness, where you can like become a victim to that illness, right? Like, oh my God, I feel like crap today, so I can't do this and I can't find joy in my life and I can't do, like, because I don't feel well. And I mean, there are days like, right? Like I get it. Like I had to be helped to step out, like sit up from the couch the other day because my body was I was in so much pain.
That's because you drank too much at Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
That's another
because
story
I was in too much pain.
That was
but
tryptophan and Pinot Grigio, but that's another story for another time.
No, but I mean, I think that piece of like, recognizing that like the only thing I have control over is my mindset. And I have personally witnessed that change in you and that has impacted so many other people. And I think that what's kind of cool is like you're saying, like you don't feel necessarily better. Your disease isn't in remission, right? But you feel better, right? Because and this has lit sort of a passion for you to inspire and support others, which is really cool.
I think you have to be determined to live your best life regardless of what's happening to you, what's happening around you. You have to have that mindset that you're going to be happy today, that you're going to choose what to be thankful for. And everybody has things to be thankful for. Like, but unless you're thinking about it, I mean, honestly, gratitude journaling has changed my life in a lot of ways because
it's
really hard to wake up in the morning, think about all the amazing things that are happening in your life. And it could be that like you've got this snuggly blanket and you've got this, like you've got hot tea in your cupboard, or like it doesn't have to be anything huge. If you start your day off with those things,
simple
it's
gratitude.
really darn hard to turn that around. Like you have to come from a place of gratitude.
You made the point too about how the tangible result of maybe improved, like a tangible medical improvement in your situation and in your overall status as you as a human, right? Might not be something you can put your finger on, although you fighting that fight every day is putting you in a better place. Because I think the skeptic would say, well, if you're not seeing these results, Jen, why even bother?
Yeah.
Right? just sit on the couch, watch The Price is Right, and roll up into a ball. And clearly nobody would say that out loud, but there's somebody who's going to be like, well, why would you bother if you're not seeing the result, if you can't point to it? Anybody who's been on a weight loss journey, you'll have people say, well, yeah, well, so I stayed the same this week, or I didn't lose any this week, or I'm up 0.2. What would you have been up if you weren't paying attention? Right. And if you, and if you, at the end of days, if you end your life and you are doing it and you're on your deathbed and you fought the good fight, or the end of time comes and you were eating healthy, right? You were doing all the right things. You've lived a better life, whether people want to admit it or not, right? If you never get to your weight loss goal, or if you never cure your Crohn's disease, as we joked about before. I guess what's interesting there, and I said to Erin the other day, and I'm interested to get your take, because you're obviously hyper aware of nutrition and how it affects you, and you watch other people, which must be fascinating. Let's pick on me for a second. Like, I absolutely could eat better every day, right? Most of us could, right? So here's somebody who's not battling Crohn's, who's not taking advantage of the leg up that I have on somebody who's battling Crohn's or some other autoimmune disease. And if that's the case, what's your fascination? And there must be some, watching everything that we're watching in the news with COVID. Why are we not spending more time on these news programs? And I know why, because I've been in broadcasting. Like, they're looking for the numbers that keep you watching, and the scare tactics of not necessarily the people that have recovered, but the people that got the new case today. For you, so dialed into nutrition, are you amazed that we're not having a bigger conversation about everyone on planet Earth improving their immune system right now? Like, all the things we could be doing to reinforce and insulate ourselves from having a higher probability of getting COVID, which...
What actually has blown my mind in the last 9 months is how much we're talking about COVID and how upset people are about isolation, when, I'm sorry, but the majority of autoimmune disease warriors out there are dealing with a compromised immune system, and a lot of them have been isolating already. So boo-hoo to you guys who have had to be dealing with isolating. Give me a break. Like, I can't even tell you how many people that I know in my circle that have had to isolate already, like, for years. And no one cares, not to say no one cares, but like, no one's really understood that impact on their life, on their mental health, and the sacrifices that they've been making for their own health. I literally I don't watch the news often anymore because I can't handle it. But when I do, I'm just like, why aren't we just focusing on doing all the right things? Having the rich diet, moving your body, sleeping enough, drinking enough water, taking the multivitamins, like, all those things minimize your stress. Like, why aren't we focusing on those things? And why are we so focused? Like, I don't know, like,
yeah, because we're just counting all the numbers.
Give me a break. Like, COVID is a hoax. Okay, like, I beg to differ. Like, I'm watching my coworkers on a daily basis, treating patients in the ICU that are deathly sick. I know it's not going to impact everybody in the same way. And I know people who have had very mild cases and they've come out on top, and that's great. But I was just talking to my coworker today, like, I understand the logic that someone can get COVID and recover, and that happens. But there's the what if. Like, what if I get it and I end up in the ICU? Like, what if I don't get it and I still end up in the ICU from some other complication or the flu, or like, there's so much going around. Like, we just need to focus on taking care of ourselves and educating people, because I honestly, like you said, like, I see people taking advantage of the fact that they could have a salad for lunch. Like, no joke, I would love to have a salad for lunch.
You can have, I'll send you mine tomorrow.
I couldn't, because I would die. Like, it would literally kill me if I tried to eat a salad. It drives me crazy how people take advantage of the fact that they are healthy and that they could be making better choices.
Well, I was watching something the other day, and I think it was Zuckerberg and Fauci, actually. Yeah. And they talking about the 5 things you could do. And I was like, could we add, like, get more sleep, drink some water, boost your immune system? Like, could we make it 10 things and actually add some additional things that we could do, right? Like,
Yeah.
yes, wearing masks, and yes, washing your hands and keeping social distance, but how about building your body up, right? Thinking good thoughts. Like, there's actually research on that, so it just, it's mind blowing. And I think too, the people who are healthy, who take for granted that they will be okay if they come in contact with this. There was, I think, something recently I saw I want to say in the Midwest, and this gentleman who was like, this is legit, it's real. He spent 6 weeks in the hospital, so sick. And that's like the number one thing that all these medical professionals are hearing, is that when people do get really sick, they're like, oh my God, like I kept thinking, like, this is the flu. It's not the flu. If you are one of the people that gets really sick, it's not just the flu, right? Like, so it's interesting how people are willing to play with other people's health.
Yeah. And I guess what's really interesting is some of the people that are coming out, like the Red Sox just talked about how they signed, this is not part of the sports report. The Red Sox just talked about how they just signed Eduardo Perez, who's Eduardo Rodriguez, Erod, to like a 1 year, $8 million extension. He came back last year, had battled COVID in the off season. And when he came back, he had some scarring on his heart from COVID. So how many people are going to come out of the other side of this and have a reduced immune system, or maybe a destroyed immune system because of this? Because we don't really know what the after effects are. We're still in the midst of just celebrating that somebody got through it. And what will be the framework of that person's DNA when they get on the other side of this? And we're not going to know that for years, maybe. I guess I'm really fascinated by the fact that we are not talking about how, and read this, like, not picture of health here, but in the grand scheme of things, right? I'm a couple Twinkies over. I think we can all see that. But at the same time, what could, and I am good with my vitamins and all that stuff. I take all the things. I drink my water. I'm going to sleep as much as I can, even napping at the office. Don't tell anybody.
Yeah, perfect.
But, a lot of space under the desk, just like Costanza. I guess I'm amazed that it's not more of a national conversation. And I know why it's not, because there are no ratings in that conversation, and I'm just blown away by it. So I can only imagine from where you sit, and both of you, because you both are battling, immune system issues. And our youngest, my son at home, Cameron, is autistic and diabetic, juvenile diabetes, type 1, and even people that are type 2. But for a type 1 juvenile diabetic, he doesn't have a higher probability of catching it. We just don't necessarily want to read the book of what will happen if he does, right? And it's just fascinating to me that it's not a bigger conversation about how we could reinforce ourselves to prevent it.
Yeah.
If I could be that much healthier that I never get it, so I never transfer it, which I know comes down to tactile stuff and licking doorknobs and all that stuff. But beyond that, I don't know. It's just mind-boggling.
That's also a whole other conversation about the healthcare system, which we could have Jen back to talk about. But I'm sure that she's likely never been told by any of her specialists to exercise, practice gratitude, and take a multivitamin, because I certainly know that I have been told, even now that I don't have a thyroid, that none of that matters, right? Like, there just is a disconnect between sort of what we consider conventional medicine and life skills, as I will call them, right? Like, there's these are viable healthcare techniques, and they are generally not part of anyone's care plan. Like, the doctors who recommend these things are usually considered sort of fringe-ish, right? Like, has anyone recommended to you meditation?
No. No.
For your Crohn's, meditate every day.
You said you practice that.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm intrigued by that, because I can't sit in a room quietly, because I won't stop talking. Yeah, I won't stop talking.
I'm so bad at it.
I have monkey brain. I have bad monkey brain. And I've been really, really fortunate, because the programs that I follow just came out with an unstressed program, essentially, where 21 days of meditation. And I think I'm on like day 12 or 13, and it kind of builds you up little by little. You literally just take 5 minutes and you listen to the girl talking on the phone, and she's like, all you need to do is breathe. Like, all you need for meditation is to breathe. And as soon as your mind goes, you just bring it right back. And who cares? Like, don't stress about it. It's supposed to be unstressed. Like, don't stress about the fact you
don't get mad at yourself. Yeah.
Like, I have like groceries to pick up, and I got all these things.
Yeah. Do we have enough milk in the fridge? Yeah, like
exactly
everywhere. Yeah.
Did I like get the right outfit for Spirit Week tomorrow at my kids' school? Like, oh shoot, I gotta grab those crazy socks. Like, whatever it is, my mind just, you just go crazy. But you have to just like laugh about it, or like just enjoy it. Like, who cares? Like, bring it back. And then even if you only get it for a couple minutes, 30 seconds, and you go off again, just bring it back again. Like, that's the practice. That's the point, is just to kind of stay present for a few moments and focus on your breathing. And trying to think, there's a technique that my therapist had actually given me. It's like a muscle relaxation therapy. And you can like find a million YouTube videos about it. But
go ahead though. Yeah.
Shocking to me. I didn't do it for very long. She had originally recommended like 20 minutes a day or something like that. And so I did do it for a little while, but it quickly made me realize how much I tense my body.
Yes.
I'm like shocked at how much my body tenses. Whether it's my jaw or I get tense. And that kind of like process that I went through, this relaxation therapy totally clued me in on that. So it's like when I'm working at my computer, like I can feel the parts of my body that have totally tensed up, and I'm like, why am I sitting like this? I'm not upset, I'm not stressed, but your body just kind of like naturally, you'd be shocked how much it happens if you.
Yeah, like we're bracers, I think. Like we're always braced for impact. And
there you go. Yeah. So amped up. Relax. Take a breath.
Well, it's funny you say that, because you'll sit in a training, or you'll be at some seminar or whatever, or even in a certain class, and they'll do something where they're just like, all right, everybody bring it down. Like sometimes they want you to stand up and create energy in the room, but just bring it down. They dim the lights, they play some music, they start and they start to read something to you, and they're telling you to breathe and slow your breathing, and that finishes. And that's the only time I exercise that, like, is when I'm being told to in like some sort of conference or whatever, and I'm like, that was great.
That was awesome.
To your point, I could do that every day, stupid, but do I? No, because I'm marching around all tensed up, like, ready to punch my cat in the face. Like, just, take 7 minutes in the morning, and I'm saying this now, and I promise you I won't do it tomorrow.
I'll text you in the morning.
Yes.
I'll text you.
Yes. Breathe. Breathe.
It's meditation time, buddy.
Well, the other day I didn't have any breaks on the way into the office, so I was definitely tensed up, right? I was bracing for impact, but yeah. It's just, again, back to the conversation earlier about how you're witnessing all these people where you're so focused on your nutrition, and we're not having the national conversation about insulating ourselves against COVID by being just a little healthier, and that we could all take that time to do 7 minutes, 5 minutes, to your point. There's that Calm app. I have
30 seconds.
I've never opened it. Yeah, I mean, I've opened it once, and it probably wanted to update, and I got mad and I threw it and I didn't do it, so.
The Calm app is actually like a huge tool for anybody. Like, it is. You can get the free version. You don't have to pay for it. It has worked.
I probably paid for it, and I'm still not using it. But yeah, go ahead.
I mean, it's worked magic on my kids, even to like go on a sleep story for like my older one.
I just opened it up. It says, "Take a deep breath."
Yeah,
it's listening. It's like we're talking about. Yeah. Take a deep breath.
That's all it takes sometimes. Like, I think we are living in a world where we're just all like on the go all the time.
Right.
And I am 100% that person. I function better when I'm busy and when I have a lot going on. That's just how I work. If I don't have a lot going on, like, nothing gets done. All those projects I have on my list don't happen. They only happen when I'm really busy and I have a lot going on.
Yeah.
My husband hates it when I say, like, if you want something done, like, ask a busy person. He does not understand that. But I'm like, for real, that's the only way stuff gets done.
I totally agree.
Well, and the point you made earlier about, Erin was talking about, just, it feels as if, as certainly as I've gotten older, you'll hear more people talking about losing pregnancies. And it's not that it wasn't happening before. We're just a more open society, and we have those open
Yes.
conversations. So
Yes.
people are not talking about Crohn's, but the layers it's getting buried under, whether you have Crohn's that you want to discuss or the miscarriage that you would have discussed, that's buried under everybody's party line, which is how you doing? I'm great. I'm good. No, because nobody wants to trouble each other with what's wrong.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, now when I say, hey, Jen, how's it going? And you're like, God damn COVID. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the opening salvo. Like, we don't even get to the layer of you. We're talking about this international issue of COVID before I get to you lying to me that everything's great at the house, right? Inside your threshold, that we don't even get to like what's really troubling you. Like that's
well, it's the universal issue, right? Like everyone's complaining about COVID. It's impacting every single person's
Sure.
life. So it's the
It's an easy out.
universal talking point. Like everyone has it. But
Yeah.
one thing I want to make note about COVID, because I was thinking about this a lot today, is that, and I'm going to do this actually in my little tribe that I have going. I think we need to celebrate the things that COVID has brought us.
Totally.
Like I can't even put into words in 5 minutes like how much COVID has given me. It's given me a lot of gifts. I have gone through such transformation since March that I can't even, like, it's just mind-boggling to me how much I have changed as a human. My mindset has changed. I finally started going to therapy. Like I could have used therapy 10, 15, 20 years ago, but I didn't until now. And it's because I tried to put too much on myself. I tried to do literally all the things. I tried to work from home full time. I tried to remote school both my kids. Like, what? I tried to clean my house. I tried to be the cook. I tried to order the groceries. I mean, I use all of the modern day tools for us moms. Like I do Hannaford to go. I do Whole Foods delivery. I do HelloFresh. I do
Reach,
all the
sister.
things. All the things. But even with all of those fantastic tools,
yeah,
I killed myself. Like I broke in the spring. I was a broken person. I had nothing left. I was a disaster. I was not a good parent. I was not a good wife. I was horrible to myself. And I just had to like stop and say, what the heck is going on? What am I doing? And what do I need?
yeah.
And that's where therapy came in. And it really made a huge difference for me. All of the muscle relaxation therapy, like I needed that. Like I don't do it every day, but gosh darn, like I said, like I know when I'm tense now and like I know when I need to chill out. I know that I can't do all of the things. I know that I need to find joy in things.
Yeah.
Like I have 3 Christmas trees in my house right now because I've been in quarantine for 10 days from an exposure. I lost my crap and I was like, I need to do something. I'm home with my kids and my husband.
Like the Griswolds. Yeah.
What? 3 trees in my house. And I actually, in the middle of the process of decorating them, I was like totally stressed out. And I was like, hold up.
Yeah, this is supposed to be fun.
What am I doing? I'm ruining
this
something that
upon
I wanted
yourself.
to do to bring me joy. Like, what is
Yeah.
wrong with me? I do that on a daily basis. And I know a lot of people do. Like, you put all this stuff on yourself and then you don't enjoy it. And like, hold up. So I literally was like, we're leaving all those decorations on the floor. We are not doing this right now. We're going to come back to it later when we're all in a better mood and we're actually going to enjoy it. And I walked away from it and I was totally fine with it. I would have never done that a year ago.
No.
I would have never had the time I've had with my kids.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because I feel like I'll be talking to a client and I feel like a sadist when I say it, but like one of the blessings of COVID has come out of my mouth so many times.
Yes.
Because there's a ton of them, whether it's interpersonal and it's at your household or whether it's changed the structure of what you do at your workplace. Erin and I certainly have a million celebrations of the way it's changed, the way in which we do what we do with our company. And I say that, and I know when I say that, some people are just like,
what are you talking about?
They haven't found it, but like, yeah, I mean, for sure. I think it's for a lot of people, it has eroded some relationships that were relationships or friendship, utilitarian friendships, as opposed to actual friendships, right? Like I haven't seen this person because we haven't run into each other because we haven't had the freedom to, and there's been no effort made.
Right.
And I just felt my shoulders drop. Like that's good, right? So there's been a ton. I appreciate that you said that, because I think there's been a myriad of blessings from COVID, as odd as that sounds to say out loud.
I mean, yeah, I want to be respectful of everybody.
Absolutely, the
Oh,
loss.
no, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
And suffering, and the healthcare workers and the frontline workers and the people in the grocery stores, like, I'm not discounting any of that at all. And I think it's fundamentally changed how we are completely as a society. And I think it's going to have long-term effects on us as individuals and as a society for years to come. Our children, I don't even know what's going to impact, how this is going to impact my children long-term. But I can tell you that they're never going to forget the summer that we had. We had an amazing summer. We had such a great summer. It was, and we would not have done half the things had we had all these other competing activities and things.
All the scheduled stuff, right? I mean, I think we've definitely mourned that. And it's also been
some of it will never find its way back onto your calendar.
Right. Like some of the things that I'm like, well, that doesn't matter. I won't have to do that again when it comes back. Book club, I'm definitely doing again.
Yeah.
I
Our group's doing Little Women. What are you guys reading right now?
I don't even know. What are we reading right now?
We don't have a new one scheduled. I'm reading Rachel Hollis's new book. Didn't see that coming.
Oh, I haven't gotten it yet.
Interesting.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's perfect for right now, right? Because the point is
that coming, right?
You gotta put your life back together from things that you weren't expecting to have happen to you. And again, it goes back to just focusing on the things that you have control over, focusing on things that bring you joy, really looking inward instead of outward, and looking for external things to make you better and to make your situation better. Like, you really have to rely on yourself to do that. And I mean, that, I think we all need to practice that every single day. Like, I am nowhere near perfect with my routine and the things that I want to do, but I'm constantly working on my routine. And once you have the routine and you have the desire to make changes, that's when it's really going to happen. Like, forcing it doesn't make it happen. Like, you really want it.
And you have to take the action, right? So the action, and even if it's a little tiny action, like you said, the 30 seconds, I nailed meditation for 30 seconds, right? Like, tomorrow I'm going to do 31, but it's, we were in a conference a couple weeks ago, and one of the coaches in it, she said, this quote, like, if you're sick of starting over, stop quitting.
Yep.
And I love that so much, because I think it just applies to so many things, especially around change in your life, right? Like, if you're sick of starting over, just stop quitting. Just decide that you're going to keep doing it, right?
Suck a little better at it every day, right?
Yeah.
It's progress over perfection. I love that you grabbed that book, and it didn't see that coming, because we were actually, my wife is always in charge of putting together our holiday card, and on the back I said, put a hashtag, didn't see that coming on the back, and she actually did. So the fact that that's the book you guys are reading too, because we, usually we have some well-crafted pictures from the Cape and from hiking and mountain biking, and we've got like nothing. Like, it's all of us walking around like zombies at our house. So she cobbles together this holiday card for 2020, and we just put on the back hashtag, didn't see that coming, because we don't have any good pictures because we were all quarantined, Crazy.
I actually have this, our dear friend Tina gave this to us on our first book club, which was, I don't know, a year and a half, has it been 2 years?
More than that. It was, because it was before I was diagnosed.
Right, okay. So she had printed these little cards. This is a Rachel Hollis quote, where most of us are big Rachel Hollis fans.
That's how we came together.
Exactly. It was the inception of the book club. So this quote is, you must choose to be happy, grateful, and fulfilled. If you make that choice every single day, regardless of where you are at or what's happening, you'll be happy. Like, this is on, like, front and center on my work desk. Like, you have to make that decision every single day to do that.
Yeah.
Happiness is a choice you make. Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you so much, Jen. Hey, Jen, you've got social. Do you want to blurb that out, and then we can make sure we get it in the notes for the show?
On Instagram and Facebook, Jen versus
Jen
Gut.
versus Gut. Yeah.
And I have a Feel Good Vibes tribe that I just opened up to anybody who's looking for some motivation, some accountability. Really, truly, that's what the tribe's about. Just feeling good, doing the things that make you feel good every single day. And that's the focus. We do fun giveaways. We just did a bunch of giveaways for November. We have some coming up in December that are fun. And it's really just about engaging and being part of a community that's in it to support each other and bring some positivity and light to our lives. So that's the tribe on Facebook. But yeah, I'd love to chat with anybody who's just wanting to share their story or, connect.
Love
Thanks.
it. You can find
Thanks,
Jen
Jen.
Bubert at Jen versus Gut on Instagram. We're going to put the rest of her connections in the notes for the show. Thank you so much for joining us for Unscripted. We would love for you to like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you next week. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.